welcome to Family Movie Night, where we'll be talking about what we watch for Family Movie Night. My name is Mike, and today we're talking about Shrek 2, a sequel of the 2001 smash hit Shrek. This came out 3 years later, and for a long time, it was the highest grossing animated movie of all time. The premise of this is Shrek and Fiona travel to the kingdom of Far, Far Away, where Fiona's parents are king and queen to celebrate their marriage. When they arrive, they find that they are not as welcome as they thought that they would be. This stars pretty much most of the same cast from the previous movie. So Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz, that's your main group. But then you've got a whole slew of newcomers here. So you've got Julie Andrews and John Cleese as the Queen and King of Far, Far Away, Jennifer Saunders and Rupert Everett as the Fairy Godmother, and Prince Charming, and Antonio Banderas as Puss in Boots. So, what I was ultimately looking for with this movie is just expanded lore with some of the fairy tale creatures, which we get from with Puss in Boots, and well, I guess the fairy godmother too. Looking for a formidable villain, which the fairy godmother absolutely was, along with Prince Charming too. And you want just some of the same shenanigans that you got from the original one, which you definitely do with this one. So this is absolutely a worthy sequel to the first one. But what this movie is teaching us and the ultimate messaging behind it, it really has to do with just accepting who you are as an individual. Because one of the key things that happens in this is that Shrek and Donkey get transformed into like the super sexy versions of themselves, where Shrek is a human and Donkey's a stallion. And they kind of the assumption is that Fiona and her family will accept them a little bit more if they're normal, if they're regular. And that's not something that I think Shrek and Donkey were really like really looking to hear or to kind of accept about themselves, but they ultimately did in this. And just the whole messaging behind like beauties on the out or on the inside and the outside. Don't forget about that. And just ultimately finding your place in a world that kind of views you as somebody who is different. So a lot good come of that there from that lesson. This movie also is exceedingly funny. It is really great. And the soundtrack is also great as well. Jennifer Saunders' version of I Need a Hero is excellent. And then also the opening song, Counting Crows Accidentally in Love, is just such a great way to reintroduce these characters, but also send like a pop culture love letter to like the early 2000s, because you've got a Lord of the Rings reference, you've got a Spider-Man reference, you just got all kinds of different things that we're looking at here. So that's great. The Some of the other references, there's a reference to cops in here with Puss in Boots, and you've got just like an OJ Simpson jab as well with a white Bronco. So little things like that kind of just make this story just really, I hate to say it, really charming and really great. So a lot to say here about Shrek 2 that I enjoy. These are two enthusiastic thumbs up. It's very hard for me to say that Shrek 2 is better than Shrek 1. I would say it's probably on the same par as the original Shrek. So if it's something that you're on the fence about with sequels, it's true that sequels definitely do outperform their originals, especially if they're cult hits. 3 and 4, that's when it gets a little dicey. So we'll see how that goes. But this is just an overall really strong sequel to an already pretty outstanding movie. So check it out. What are your thoughts on Shrek 2? How would you rank it in the grand pantheon of animated sequels? Let me know in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Family Movie Night. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe to anything and everything SPDM Crew, wherever you get your podcast. Join us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Blue Sky at SPDM Crew. Shout out to iFlyer Creative Studios for making our awesome logo. Greatly appreciate their support. Check out our list labeled Family Movie Night on Letterboxd at MLHilty2452. Check out the other shows on the podcasting network. We're going through some changes with a lot of our shows, which is great to see. So really proud of the work that everyone's doing. So please check out the other shows on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And if you've got a podcast idea or you're interested in being part of the SPDM Crew as a guest or collaborating, email us at spdmcrew@gmail.com. Until next time, happy watching, friends.